Today, can I acknowledge a number of my shadow ministerial colleagues who are here today. Senator Perrin Davey and Anne Ruston, Paul Fletcher is here as well. Strong representation from our economic team here today with Senators Jane Hume, Michaelia Cash and Dean Smith as well. And I'd like to acknowledge a number of the Canberra Liberals here today, and in particular Elizabeth Lee and Jeremy Hanson. Great to have you here today. Just a few weeks before the budget, I spent 8 days travelling around 1,000 kilometres on a bike for this year's polypedal, riding through New South Wales, through the southwest slopes, and with the canola, the wheat, the wine, the sheep that fuel our exports, I had the opportunity and privilege to meet with and listen to Australians at the front line of our economy. Economics is often conflated with statistics, forecasts and government accounts. But ultimately, economics is about people. And the people I met on that trip are under pressure. Business is good, but they can't find staff. They're getting more hours for work, but their groceries are costing more. They're proud to have saved for their first home, but their mortgage payments keep going up. The main street is booming, but the roads into town need more investment after several wet years. And whether a small business, a manufacturer or a household, power bills are beginning to eat into their pockets and they're worried that it's going to get worse. At the Cowra Neighbourhood and Information Centre, a not-for-profit which provides help for those doing it tough, the CEO, Fran Steed, told me that the demand for their services has never been so high. More than 60 people are coming in every day, many who have jobs and a mortgage but are simply struggling to make ends meet. They're asking for help for everyday staples like milk and bread. People who have never had to ask for help before and have always been too proud to do so, but now they simply have no choice. These people might not get profiled in the weekend papers or be subject to glossy photo shoots, but these are the people that the budget is really about. And the budget was silent on how to help them. Now, the people I've spoken about are real-world examples of the economic dilemma presented by inflation. The economy is, at a macro level, in a very strong position. The Australian economy is fundamentally resilient. Just 2 years ago, we were staring down the prospect of permanent business closures, tens of thousands of deaths and an unemployment rate of 15%. Today, we have more businesses, strong terms of trade, record commodity prices, economic growth over 3% and record low unemployment. Now, not every decision during COVID was perfect, but Australia's economic recovery is a testament to the Coalition's economic management. The Coalition left Labor with a strong economy, a rapidly improving budget position in far better shape than most thought was possible even a short time ago. Our March budget saw a $103 billion turnaround, the largest since Federation. The final budget outcome for our last year in office, our last full year in office, saw $47.9 billion improvement in the underlying cash balance from the budget forecast back in March. The trajectory continued in last year's budget, in the updated forecast for last week's budget, in the updated forecast for 2022-23. But despite this turnaround and despite this economic strength, people aren't feeling it in their everyday lives. The pressure of inflation on household budgets is eating away those national gains. And a budget that fails to treat the inflation problem at its source is a budget that fails to support Australians through symptoms of these cost of living pressures. The best way a government can put downward pressure on inflation is through a clear and comprehensive plan with a sound budget at its core. Now, no government can control all the circumstances and the context it faces. Of course it can't. In government, we had plenty of challenges coming our way. But what the government can and must control, though, is the response to these challenges. The budget handed down by the Treasurer last week was an opportunity to start outlining his plan to deal with the challenges in the economy. The test for the budget was simple: to deliver a comprehensive plan to consolidate the strong economic and budget position inherited from the Coalition. to put downward pressure on inflation and interest rates without increasing taxes, to relieve supply-side pressures in the economy by increasing productivity and participation, and to deliver key promises Labor made to the Australian people at the election. The government had the opportunity to deliver a budget that outlined a shorter-term plan to reach or even approach budget balance, containing interest rates and inflation in the process. It had the opportunity to map a longer-term plan to empower aspiration and enterprise, reasserting the role of productivity and lower taxes in driving growth and real wages. We said we would work with Labor if it stayed true to these common sense principles, and we will. We've been upfront on the measures that we support in the budget. As Peter Dutton outlined in his budget in reply speech, we'll support a number of measures such as the extension of the childcare subsidy, the increased flexibility of paid parental leave, measures to reduce the pharmaceutical benefits scheme co-payment, and sensible approaches to ensuring the NDIS is sustainable. From early on in my role as Shadow Treasurer, I've made a point of laying out the principles we will use to evaluate policy, giving the government the opportunity to look for areas of bipartisanship. But overwhelmingly, the budget was a missed opportunity. This is ultimately a high-taxing, high-spending, traditional Labor budget. The Prime Minister and Treasurer are out today saying it could have been worse. Perhaps any budget could be worse. This is hardly a glowing self-evaluation. But my point is that it could have been a lot better. For a start, what we needed in this budget was recognition that economic growth over the medium term has to be stronger than spending growth. Economic growth stronger than spending growth. That's what we did in government between 2013 through to the pandemic. It's achievable, but it's hard and it requires enormous discipline. Instead of a comprehensive plan to consolidate the strong economic and budget position, we have growing deficits and no medium-term fiscal strategy for balanced budgets. Instead of delivering economic growth stronger than spending growth, we have $142 billion of extra taxes and likely more to come. And instead of a productivity agenda, we have union red tape, more big government and cuts to employment, innovation and small business programs.